If you're failing in life right now, stop for a moment and listen carefully. Failure does not mean you are useless. It does not mean you are finished. It means you are being tested. Everyone wants success, but very few are willing to walk through failure to earn it. The truth is, life doesn't reward comfort. It rewards courage. And right now, life is asking you one question. Will you quit or will you grow? You tried, you gave effort, and things still didn't work out. That hurts, but understand this: failure is not here to stop you. It's here to shape you. It breaks your ego so it can build your character. It removes illusions so you can see reality clearly. Stop believing that successful people never failed. They failed more than anyone else. The only difference is they refused to stay down. While others quit, they learned. While others complained, they adapted. While others waited for motivation, they built discipline. Do not compare your beginning to someone else's finish line. You are not late. You are not behind. You are on your own timeline. Use this moment. Use the pain, the rejection, the loneliness. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs that you are being prepared for something greater. Stand up again, even if it's slow, even if no one is watching. Progress does not need applause. It needs consistency, because one day this failure will make sense. One day this struggle will become your strength, and one day you'll look back and say, I'm glad I didn't quit. Failure is a test, not a verdict. It does not come to define who you are. It comes to reveal who you are becoming. When life puts you in a situation where things fall apart, plans collapse, and results disappear, it is not announcing your final outcome. It is challenging your mindset, your patience, and your willingness to grow. A verdict ends a case, but a test exists to measure progress and expose weaknesses so they can be improved. Many people see failure and immediately label themselves as incapable, unlucky, or not good enough. That belief is far more dangerous than the failure itself. Failure only asks one question: what will you do next? Will you run from the discomfort, or will you learn from it? Tests are designed to push you beyond what you already know, and failure works the same way. It forces you to confront your habits, your discipline, and your decisions. Failure shows you where you are unprepared, where your skills are weak, and where your mindset needs work. It strips away false confidence and replaces it with real awareness. Without this test, growth stays shallow. You may feel delayed, but in reality, you are being trained. Every struggle is collecting data, sharpening judgment, and building resilience that success alone could never teach. When you understand that failure is a test, you stop taking it personally and start taking it seriously. You stop asking, "Oh, why me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That shift changes everything, because tests are meant to be passed, not feared. Everyone who succeeds has failed first, whether they admit it publicly or not. Success is never a straight line. It is built on repeated mistakes, wrong decisions, missed chances, and moments of deep doubt. And behind every achievement you see, there is a history of rejection, embarrassment, and disappointment that most people never talk about. Failure is not an exception on the path to success. It is the foundation of it. People often believe that successful individuals are different, that they were born with confidence, talent, or luck. In reality, what separates them is exposure to failure and the way they responded to it. Each failure taught them what does not work, what needs improvement, and where they must grow. While others were discouraged by setbacks, they treated those setbacks as feedback. They adjusted their approach, refined their skills, and returned stronger. Failure builds experience faster than success ever can. When things go wrong, you are forced to think, analyze, and adapt. You learn resilience when you are knocked down. You develop patience when results are delayed. You gain clarity when illusions are broken. These lessons accumulate quietly over time and later show up as confidence, wisdom, and control when success finally arrives. Those who succeed are not fearless. They are familiar with failure. They have faced it so many times that it no longer stops them. Instead of seeing failure as proof that they should quit, they see it as proof that they are progressing. Every setback becomes a step forward, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. Failure shapes character by stripping away what is unnecessary and strengthening what truly matters. When everything is going well, it is easy to feel confident, capable, and in control. But those moments do not test integrity, patience, or discipline. Failure does. It exposes how you react under pressure, how you treat yourself when things go wrong, and whether you rely on excuses or responsibility. When you fail, the ego takes a hit. The image you had of yourself, the expectations you believed would automatically come true, are suddenly challenged. This discomfort is not punishment, it is correction. Failure forces humility, and humility creates openness to learning. Once ego is reduced, growth becomes possible because you are willing to listen, adjust, and improve rather than defend mistakes. Character is built through repeated challenges, not comfort. Failure teaches honesty by confronting you with reality. It teaches accountability by showing you the direct results of your actions and decisions. Over time, this process develops inner strength, self-respect, and emotional control. You learn to stand firm without needing validation and to keep working even when recognition is absent. Through failure, resilience is forged. You discover that you can endure disappointment and still continue. You learn that setbacks do not destroy you unless you allow them to. This quiet strength becomes part of who you are, shaping decisions, discipline, and confidence in ways that success alone could never achieve. Pain is a teacher because it forces attention where comfort allows ignorance. When everything feels easy, mistakes are often ignored and weaknesses remain hidden. Pain, however, demands to be understood. It slows you down and makes you reflect on what went wrong, what you overlooked, and what must change. Without pain, many important lessons would never be learned because there would be no reason to question habits or decisions. Discomfort pushes growth by removing the option to stay the same. When you feel the weight of failure, rejection, or loss, you are confronted with reality in its raw form. This confrontation builds awareness. You begin to notice patterns in your behavior, flaws in your planning, and gaps in your effort. Pain highlights these areas clearly, not to punish you, but to guide improvement. Growth is uncomfortable because it requires leaving familiar patterns behind. Pain signals that transformation is taking place. Muscles grow through strain and the mind develops through challenge. Emotional discomfort teaches patience, mental toughness, and self-control. It strengthens your ability to handle pressure and uncertainty, qualities that are essential for long-term success. Instead of resisting pain, learning to observe it creates wisdom. When you stop running from discomfort and start learning from it, pain becomes a source of clarity. It sharpens focus, builds endurance, and deepens understanding, shaping stronger decisions and a more resilient mindset. Comparing your journey to someone else's creates unnecessary pressure and distorts reality. Every person starts from a different place with different resources, responsibilities, and challenges. When you compare your current position to someone else's visible success, you ignore the years of struggle, mistakes, and unseen effort that came before their results. This comparison steals focus from your own progress and replaces it with frustration. Each path moves at its own pace. Some people grow early, others later, and many experience setbacks before breakthroughs. Progress is not a race with a shared finish line. It is a personal process shaped by circumstances and choices. When you measure yourself against others, you adopt expectations that were never designed for your situation, which can lead to self-doubt and impatience. Comparison also shifts attention away from improvement and toward validation. Instead of asking how to get better, you begin asking why you are behind. This mindset weakens motivation and clouds judgment. Growth requires concentration on skills, habits, and consistency, not constant evaluation against someone else's timeline. By focusing on your own journey, you gain clarity and control. You start measuring progress by effort, discipline, and learning rather than external milestones. This shift builds confidence rooted in self-awareness instead of comparison, allowing steady growth without the weight of unrealistic expectations. Quitting is the only real failure because as long as you keep moving, you are still in the game. Failure, setbacks, and mistakes are temporary obstacles, but surrender ends all possibilities. Many people fear failure and avoid it, Yet, they are often unaware that giving up guarantees the loss they most fear. You can fail, stumble, and fall repeatedly, and each time you have a chance to learn, adapt, and try again. But quitting removes that chance completely. Persistence is what separates those who eventually succeed from those who never do. When you face rejection, disappointment, or repeated mistakes, your mind may whisper that it's over, that it's too hard, or that you're not capable. These thoughts are normal, but they are also dangerous if acted upon. Real failure occurs the moment you decide that continuing is pointless. As long as you try again, every setback becomes a step forward, even if progress seems invisible at the moment. Every successful person has faced moments where quitting seemed easier. What kept them going was vision, discipline, and the understanding that growth requires endurance. They knew that pain, struggle, and repeated failure were part of the process, not signs of final defeat. Quitting eliminates the opportunity to see how far you can go, how strong you can become, and how much you can learn from your journey. Even when results are delayed, persistence compounds over time. Each effort builds knowledge, skill, and resilience. Every attempt, no matter how small, adds to the foundation of eventual success. The act of continuing despite difficulty transforms failure from a stopping point into a stepping stone, turning obstacles into preparation for achievement. Adapting instead of complaining is one of the most powerful ways to turn failure into progress. When things go wrong, it's easy to waste energy blaming circumstances, other people, or even yourself. Complaining might give temporary relief, but it does nothing to change the outcome. Adaptation, on the other hand, is action-oriented. It forces you to analyze what went wrong, identify what you can control, and adjust your approach to move forward more effectively. Every failure carries a lesson, but the lesson is only valuable if you apply it. Complaining keeps you stuck in the past, replaying mistakes over and over, while adaptation focuses on solutions and future growth. When you shift your energy from lamenting to learning, every setback becomes a practical guide for improvement. This mindset allows you to see obstacles as temporary and solvable rather than permanent barriers. Adapting requires flexibility and creativity. It means being honest about what isn't working and having the courage to try a different method. Sometimes it involves changing strategies, sometimes it means acquiring new skills, and other times it's about adjusting your attitude toward challenges. Each adjustment increases your chances of overcoming the problem and gaining new insights that will serve you in future situations. People who master adaptation understand that failure is not a signal to stop, but a signal to change. They become resilient problem solvers who thrive in uncertainty and use setbacks as a blueprint for progress. While others remain frustrated and stuck, those who adapt turn challenges into opportunities for growth, learning, and eventual success. Discipline beats motivation because motivation is fleeting, while discipline creates consistent action regardless of how you feel. Motivation comes and goes like a wave. Sometimes it is strong, sometimes it is barely there. Discipline. If you rely only on motivation, your progress will be unpredictable and inconsistent. Discipline, however, is a deliberate choice to take action even when you don't feel like it. And it is this consistency that leads to real results over time. Discipline is built through habits. When you create routines that push you toward your goals, you reduce the reliance on temporary feelings. Waking up at the same time every day, dedicating time to learning or work, and following through on commitments regardless of mood are all acts of discipline. These repeated actions compound, producing growth and progress that cannot be achieved by bursts of motivation alone. Moreover, discipline trains your mind to endure discomfort. When facing challenges, setbacks, or failure, motivation often fails first because emotions fluctuate. Discipline, however, keeps you moving forward, forcing you to act even when it's hard, inconvenient, or discouraging. It develops resilience, patience, and mental strength, which are essential qualities for overcoming failure and achieving long-term success. Ultimately, discipline transforms effort into results. While motivation may inspire a start, it is discipline that ensures completion. It creates a framework where success becomes inevitable, because consistent, focused action outweighs sporadic enthusiasm. By prioritizing discipline over motivation, you develop the ability to persist through obstacles, maintain progress during difficult times, and steadily move closer to your goals. Using failure as fuel means transforming disappointment, setbacks, and mistakes into energy that drives you forward instead of holding you back. Most people view failure as a stop sign, a signal to pause or quit, but those who succeed see it as a source of power. Every rejection, every loss, and every mistake contains valuable information. If you pay attention, it can motivate you to improve, innovate, and persist with greater determination than before. Failure highlights weaknesses and gaps in knowledge or preparation, and recognizing these areas allows you to focus your energy on what truly matters. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, you can channel your frustration into concrete action. The anger or disappointment you feel can be converted into the determination to work harder, learn faster, and approach challenges with a smarter, more strategic mindset. When properly harnessed, the emotional impact of failure becomes a powerful tool for growth. Using failure as fuel also changes your perspective on setbacks. They are no longer signs of inadequacy. They are opportunities to prepare for future success. Each obstacle teaches resilience and sharpens problem-solving skills, allowing you to move forward with confidence and clarity. The energy generated from failure pushes you beyond your comfort zone, compelling you to take risks, innovate, and improve in ways you might not have attempted otherwise. The most successful individuals in any field have learned to embrace failure as a driving force. They internalize the lessons it brings, adjust their approach, and use the experience to increase their focus, commitment, and determination. In this way, failure becomes not a hindrance but a catalyst, a continuous source of motivation and momentum that propels them toward their ultimate goals. Progress doesn't need applause because real growth happens quietly, away from the eyes of others. Many people wait for recognition, praise, or validation before they feel their efforts are meaningful, but relying on external approval can slow down or even stop your journey. True progress is measured by what you do consistently, not by who notices it. The small, often unseen actions you take every day accumulate over time, forming the foundation of significant results that eventually become visible. When you focus on consistent effort rather than recognition, you develop discipline and self-reliance. You learn to value your own standards and measure success by personal growth, not by comparisons or applause. This mindset allows you to stay committed even when no one is cheering, watching, or offering encouragement. Many people give up simply because they feel invisible or unappreciated, but progress is built on persistence, not attention. Quiet progress also allows experimentation and learning without fear of judgment. When you are not performing for others, you can take risks, make mistakes, and adapt without worrying about public scrutiny. This freedom enables innovation and creativity, which are essential for long-term success. Over time, the cumulative effect of consistent, unseen effort becomes undeniable. While others may focus on shortcuts, recognition, or instant gratification, those who prioritize silent progress steadily move closer to their goals. By focusing on progress rather than applause, you cultivate patience, resilience, and a growth-oriented mindset. You learn that results are the true measure of effort and that consistent action eventually produces outcomes far greater than any immediate recognition could provide. In essence, silent progress ensures that when success finally arrives, it is earned, sustainable, and undeniable. Loneliness is part of growth because the path to success often requires you to stand apart from the crowd and make decisions that others may not understand. When you are learning, failing, and trying to improve, it is common to feel isolated. Friends, family, or peers may not see the effort you are putting in or may not support the changes you are making. This sense of solitude can feel uncomfortable, but it is during these moments that real growth occurs, because you are forced to rely on yourself. Being alone during periods of challenge teaches self-discipline and inner strength. Without external validation or constant guidance, you learn to trust your judgment, make decisions independently, and take full responsibility for your actions. This builds confidence that is rooted in ability rather than approval. Loneliness also provides the quiet and focus necessary for reflection, learning, and planning. Conditions that are often impossible to find when surrounded by distractions or influence from others. Loneliness also helps you develop resilience. When no one is cheering you on, you are compelled to push forward anyway. This internal drive becomes a permanent source of motivation, independent of circumstances. You learn to endure discomfort, handle rejection, and persist despite the lack of immediate rewards. Many people give up when they feel unsupported, but those who embrace solitude understand that success is built in private long before it is visible to the public. Finally, periods of loneliness allow for deep personal growth and self-discovery. You gain clarity about your priorities, your values, and your strengths. You become more aware of what truly matters, and you develop a mindset that does not rely on the approval of others. This independence and inner strength form the foundation for long-term success and allow you to pursue your goals with focus, resilience, and confidence. Your comeback starts now because every moment presents an opportunity to change the trajectory of your life. No matter how many times you have failed, how deep the disappointment feels, or how far behind you believe you are, the decision to rise again is always in your hands. Always. A comeback begins not with grand gestures or sudden breakthroughs, but with small, deliberate actions taken consistently, even when the outcome is uncertain or invisible to others. Starting your comeback requires a mindset shift. You must stop viewing failure as a final judgment and begin seeing it as a foundation for growth. This means taking responsibility for your mistakes, learning from them, and identifying the specific steps needed to move forward. Each small decision, whether it is improving a skill, reaching out for guidance, or simply showing up and putting in effort, compounds over time, creating momentum that can eventually lead to significant results. A comeback also demands resilience and patience, and you may face resistance, self-doubt, or external obstacles, but the key is to continue acting despite them. Every effort, no matter how minor it seems, brings you closer to regaining control and achieving your goals. The process of coming back is as much about strengthening your character and mindset as it is about achieving tangible success. Taking action immediately is crucial because time spent hesitating is time lost. Each day presents new opportunities to learn, grow, and make progress. By choosing to start now, you create a chain of consistent actions that builds confidence, skills, and momentum. Your past failures no longer define you. They become the fuel that propels you forward. In essence, your comeback is not a distant event. It begins with the very next decision you make, the next step you take, and the commitment to refuse giving up again. Remember, failure is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Every setback, every mistake, and every disappointment is preparing you for something greater. The moment you decide to stand up, learn, and keep moving forward, you take control of your story. Your past does not define you. Your effort does. Start today, stay consistent, and never quit, because your comeback is not just possible, it is inevitable.